Here I am once again, waiting to pick up the minis from the elementary school. This is part of what I call Responsible Daddy Hour, which is for people that are in their children's lives, be it mother, father, don't matter. I say responsible dads because brothers get such a bad rap when it comes to interacting with their children. It ain't just me, it's fathers in line that pick up their children daily. And so my thing is try to put that in a beautiful light. Hey, Perspective Gaming, thank you for joining. Good afternoon to you. So that's kind of why I put this series together, to show the brothers and everybody, not just brothers, to show fathers in a positive light. So, especially black fathers. There you go. That's right. Brothers be in their children's lives. Man, I told a story, months ago about a couple brothers that was at the turn. Well, at their children were playing, and then they had the other children with them. And it was funny. I mentioned they were smoking squares in the parking lot, where school property you ain't supposed to smoke, but still, it's just a vice. That's all. I heard something. I heard the spell. Hey, Lorenzo. Oh, well, that's cool. You caught me. I'd be sitting there at night and watching games and shit and be like, just don't feel like talking some nights. But I heard something that's a spell. I just heard it on the radio, and I want to. And if you look, and this is a straight boule spell. You can tell it's a boule spell. On the radio, they was talking about people living beyond their pay grade. And then they was giving examples of, again, this examples of debauchery with brothers. Like they saying it's a brother that's kind of panhandling in front of a store wearing $200 Jordans. I mean, is that a good example? There's not too many people that can afford to get the Jordans, collect Jordans like that, and then they need to beg. So I thought that was a pretty bad example. They don't need to beg. Hey, Jim, 21, thank you for joining. So I just thought, but that's a straight up boule spell. Trying to live above your pay rate, your pay grade. That's a straight boule type of spell. So I was listening to the radio. I'm like, this is some boule shit that the boule done put together. Again, trying to show the debauchery of our people. Now, our people haven't made some of the greatest decisions. I know during the General Motors area, when people was working for General Motors, that's where my dad worked. So in the 70s, I say late 60s, 70s, where you see a dude, and back then a $10,000 car was quite expensive. And the car, because he worked at GM and got the discount, he would drive a car. His car would be worth more than the house. So the car would be 10,000, the house would be 5 or 6,000. Again, there's a time where it was a bunch of $5,000 and $6,000 houses, but it was kind of just a way to put down General. Hey, Brisk Clown, hey Jay, responsibilities. So it was just a way to put brothers down, but you did see it. You did see it where the house would be all, hey Edward Bailey, the house would be all tore up looking. Here's a brand new Cadillac. So, and so you hear that, if you start hearing that spell, because that's how it was put out, especially on the radio, you start analyzing that and see the people that would use that kind of thing. Well, you ain't acting your pay rate. You ain't acting your pay grade. Again, it's very judgmental, and judgmental on a negative kind of aspect. So just beware the spells put around. It still cracks me up. The spell Super Slide put out there at the end of the day, that shit, it was a motherfucker on Fox. And this dude gave his whole whatever the topic was, and then he just well, at the end of the day, and I'm like, how is that even? You hear it, and it's like, how was it? Why was this used? I mean, there was if it wasn't a spell, there was no reason for that phrase to be put in his conversation. He was talking about some government shit, and it was just funny where he turned And he was like, well, at the end of the day. And I'm like, okay. So, notice spells. Notice spells. Notice these spells that are used and pushed out there. There's no shade given. But it's just funny how this kind of thing is used. I think that thing is funny. Back in the day, my mama used to work at the Timex factory. Oh, bet. Wow. I've never heard of a Timex factory. Wow. That snow don't play. It's snow everywhere. It ain't that cold today. I might go play pickleball. It's 26. The wind is so when I drop my daughter off, I'm gonna head to the pickleball courts. It's dry. It should be dry up there. I haven't played in about a month. So that's what I'm gonna do. And throw the gloves on, throw the sweats on, and go play pickleball. My next thing is a kind of easy thing to do. I want to talk about grids. Now, again, we all live on some type of ley lines. Pendulum. If you understand dowsing rods, better to have copper than the sticks. But if the sticks is all you can get, you can pretty much see the ley lines on your property in your house. Well, you can use types of grids to enhance that energy. Now, I have crystal cards I can use. I have crystals I can use. It's all kind of, you can use regular playing cards even. Like if you found the lines that are the strongest in your house, you can use regular playing cards. You can have them up or have them face down. It doesn't matter. It's the shape that's the function. And I'm just give just a basic idea, and I'm just gonna say you just put the playing cards in a diamond shape, but they're on one of your grid lines or ley lines that run through your property, through your apartment, whatever. And then you would just put that type of diamond, and then you put your intention into it. It's kind of simple. I noticed that in the news a lot. Yeah, these spills. Yeah, definitely. And so if you don't have crystals, you don't have cards. Like a funny story I did with my cards, my Mayan cards, I laid them all out on a grid. Probably was a full moon or something. And once I laid them all out, the cats was just really interested. And so my cats end up like climbing in the circle and got on some of the cards. And right when I started, the cats jumped up in the air like something shocked the fuck out the cats. And they ran off the cards. But it was so funny. It was like I got done and I put my intention into it, and it was like the cats just jumped straight in the air. So this is something that it's a little boy that did a thing showing the crystal energy and the movement a few years ago, if that's still up. I guess you could look at a young boy talk about crystal grids or something like that. It was like 2, 3, 4 years ago. But he was on point on the way the energy, you can see the energy move. Again, you can use cards to do the same thing if that's all you have. And it's just a way to give you a little jolt, a little more energy pushing, a little more energy behind. Well, thank you, Mark. A little more energy behind just what you daily do. That's all. I mean, there's all kind of little magic tricks to amplify what you do. To manifest. And manifesting is so interesting because people don't realize that sometimes they manifest a little bit of what they need and then they're still not satisfied, because people want the whole manifestation. But a lot of times when you manifest, it's the way you put intentions in it. And if your intentions is only chunks, then you'll just get chunks of it. And sometimes you have to be satisfied with that. Like I was meditating earlier and I was like, I'm not getting anywhere. So there's no reason to try to force it. The energy just wasn't moving. And again, like magic, you can't compare yourself to anybody. You just have to, whatever works for you. You have to look at that. You have to look at the magic that you create. When you close your eyes, what do you create? When you truly try to manifest something that is needed to function in life, You know, how are your intentions helping you manifest? And you know, there's abundance blocks, no doubt. The witch talks about that, and she's on point. There are abundance blocks, and these are things that need to be removed. There's no other way to talk about it. These are things that you have to spiritually remove, and there's no other way to do it. That's why it's good to incense. It's good to smudge, because when this shit comes into play, you have to know how to get rid of it. Like, I've just ran up against one that's been there. And it's interesting. Two funny stories. Here's two funny stories. So I talk about the witch, and the witch just will not stop. This chick just will not stop. I denied marrying this witch years ago. Had to photon blast some of her people, and she still will not stop. This chick has just her spells is just so weird. Like, she did a spell on my goddamn trash can. Now, can you imagine that? She did a thing on my goddamn trash can. And it's like the silliest kind of little spell, but I know it's from her because I know her work. She keeps coming in my dreams, talking about how in love we are, which I know comes from her. And I'm like, chick, stop. So please, love her above, chick, stop. You know, like, stop. Oh, good driving, lady. Where'd it go? So, loving her above, chick, stop. You know, it's funny, but it's not funny. I'm not in love with you. Stop this stupid shit. So, wanted to throw that in there. Because it's just humorous. It's just humorous. It's humorous how people can put little spells that's just annoying little spells. You know, like, I had to get on her for sending the bugs, and then the bugs didn't hit me; it hit one of my neighbors. You know, and fucking with this little autistic boy. So I had to talk shit because, again, that came from her. So, you know, you need to hit your mark. You need to hit. Hey, necessary evil, what's happening? You need to hit your mark when you do that kind of spell. You can't hit other people. I mean, that's shit. That's universal law. You know, you mad at somebody, or you trying to put a love spell, you cannot use other people like that. Your spell, your aim has to be right there. High school baseball, I was assigned 42 by my coach. I asked to change because I just didn't like how the number looked. I was then switched to 33, probably coincidence, but still funny. Um, that's an interesting thing. I've talked about my numbers. Um, like, my grandmother was born in 1915. My college football number was 19. My high school basketball number was 50, 51. But by the time I was a junior, we had switched to just odd numbers. And so those numbers have followed me throughout my life. But yeah, the Jackie Robertson, they always want to hand that out. It's funny, when I stole some jerseys in high school, I remember I stole my buddy's jersey. I stole 40 and I stole 42. We had all the keys. My partner, his senior year, had all the keys to the building. And when he graduated, he just gave me all the keys. So we had keys to everything. And yeah, we hit the football. I took jerseys. They should have known because I didn't take my number. I took other numbers. But as a sophomore, I wore 13, which really, they was fucking with me because my number had been 12 all through junior high. And my freshman year was 12. Then they, just to fuck with me, they gave me 13. And then I liked Billy White Shoes Johnson as a junior. I wore 84. And then I marked myself my senior year because of Tony Dorsett from Pitt. He wore 33 at Pitt. And so I wore 33. And what's funny about my college number, like, my godmother came to see me before I was leaving, because we was leaving first thing in the morning, like August 10th and shit like that. I had to be in camp. Maybe it was like August 12th, but I had to be in camp by the 14th, and my father was driving me to North Carolina with my shit. And my godmother was like, your number. And I don't know, because she was cool with my coach. But she told me my number. And she said, your number going to be 19. So, and she said years later, no one ever told her that. First time we go in the locker room, because that's kind of how they had it set up. You had to go in the locker room to get your room assignments and all that shit. And sure enough, my name was up there on my stall, and it was number 19. Sure enough. So I don't know. You know, she still says that she just guessed out the air. I don't know if she talked to my coach, but sure enough, that's what I saw. So it's funny how numbers can follow you. But yeah, I would say if you could stop your child from being, like my daughter, let me say one more thing. My daughter's number is 109, you know, for her jersey. So again, 19. And then my son Brennan wore 19, I think his sophomore, no, his junior and senior year, he was able to wear 9. I think he wore 13 as a sophomore when they had the good season. As a sophomore, they had a good team. I think they went 9-2. Made the playoffs, won a playoff game. But yeah, I think I'm gonna play pickleball today. It's mild. We're not freezing. Young Weezer said, I played baseball and basketball. I wore 8 in basketball because this was in 04 and I love Kobe. And when he switched to 24, I did the same because I was obsessed with Kobe. And you know, it's funny when he switched to the 24, when he switched to the Jackie Robinson, it was like the 8 was kind of by itself. Like Big Bill's Bellamy was the only number 8 before then, and he's in the Hall of Fame, but most people don't know who Walter Bellamy is. Again, you know, that he was number 8 for the Knicks, the Pistons. So that was the only person that, and maybe I'd even have to see if Walt Bellamy is in the Hall of Fame, but I think he is. But he was the only number 8 that I could say before then. You know, of course, some ABA players, but so after the rape thing, you know, to brand himself was interesting, was real interesting. You could see that was they put the branding on him. You know, after he went through the shame ritual, because that's all that was with that rape charge, was a shame ritual. And after that, they branded him, and he agreed. You know, he agreed. Like his last game was so ridiculous. You take 50 shots and you make 60 points. That shit was beyond ridiculous. Yeah, the teachers ain't catching it today. It ain't near as cold. 26, it ain't near as cold. You see, this is thin. This is like a jacket. This is velour, though, baby. This is velour. This is what seats used to be made out of. I had number 10 and 11 in high school. Okay, yeah. When I was a sophomore, we wore the double numbers. We wore odd or evens at home in white, and then we wore odds on the road. Like I thought, like both of my cousins, my cousin Ricky and my cousin Kevin, both wore 30, 31. So I just thought, even though my cousin Chris wore what you wore, 10, 11, I just figured, you know, both my cousins wore 30 and 31. I just like, and then, yeah, I didn't get it. I was really surprised he didn't give me my cousin's numbers. But Ken Barlow, I think Ken ended up having those numbers, but I was really surprised that he didn't give me my cousin's numbers. I like just... Normally they kind of keep that, but it was kind of cool. It was cool. The other number I understood. So yeah, those was the main things I had to say today. It was just little ways of cheating, keeping your energy and gaining some energy where you live, and how to build up more energy. You know, if you feel down, how to build up more energy. The last couple of days I've been trying to, you know, get with people and show people how to maintain, you know, like from harmonizing to being grounded, you know, now to work with the energy that's around you. I guess that's my expertise. It's how to be the most spiritual being you can be. And coming from, you know, the coming from a spiritual relationship to the lands, you know, to the Americas. That's why I take sports so seriously. 33, I was 33 and 34 in high school, playing both JV and varsity. Oh, bet. Yeah, we got rid of the double numbers. Um, we got rid of the double numbers my sophomore year. We just wore odds. The coach, and matter of fact, you can't even. Last I know, it was we wore numbers like right here. The numbers was over our heart. They was all set numbers in the white. Because my senior year we wore white, gold, and maroon. He had bought new jerseys. My freshman year, he had bought the gold jerseys, which was kind of I have that. I have my high school gold number, and then I have the first one where I scored 30 in a game. I got that jersey too. I was the first one to wear that jersey, and I scored 30 on them as a junior. I kind of regret picking basketball as a second sport. I wish I had football. I was better at football than I was at basketball. I wanted to go pro at baseball. I never pursued it. Yeah, baseball is a hard hustle to get to the pros. Like when I would see Jeter, Derek Jeter came to Greensboro after he turned because Jeter was going to go to Michigan and the Yankees dropped all that money on him. So I used to play in Old War Memorial Coliseum, and that's where the Hornets, the Greensboro Hornets, were Derek Jeter. So I was down there. I believe I'm trying to think what year that was. 85 was Derek down there, or maybe I drove down there. I went down there to watch him play. I can't quite remember what was his year in Greensboro. It seemed like I still lived in Greensboro, but I could be wrong because I watched Derek play. Dang, what? Yeah, I mean, so no, I guess I went down there later because I think Derek didn't graduate until 88, 89. Yeah, because when I saw him hoop and I met him for the first time, I think he was a junior. Yeah, so that had to be, he probably graduated in 90, 89, 90. Somebody could look that up. But he played down in Greensboro where I had played until they built our new stadium. Because he went to my high school. I could have took his jersey. I've said that before. I could have took Derek's jersey, and just didn't. It was all there. But I was talking about the off numbers. That was our favorite ones, and he said all them dry rotted. Coaches keep that kind of shit, which is funny. Which is funny. And then one year, one of the new coaches came in, and he just gave all that old shit away. And so that's how I had my jerseys. I think my stepfather had stole his high school jersey because I remember he had the top and he had the bottom, and I would always wear that when I was little, and it had the old belt. I don't know if y'all remember shorts with a belt in them. Yeah, that's how his shorts were. It's like you didn't tie them on the inside; it had a belt on the outside. I know a lot of people probably don't remember that shorts with the belts, but a lot of high schools in the '60s made they shit like that, where they had the belt. Can you imagine that shorts when you got a belt on the outside of them? When you look at the '60s, you can see them kind of jerseys. And before all this, I used to park up there before we had all this hit. I just had the feeling and could just see that this is what was coming. And now, you got some of these liberals just saying, we tired of this shit. We tired of it. We'll take the risk. And you got the other liberals running and saying, hey, no, you still got to be afraid. You still got to be cautious. Isn't that crazy? The age of awareness occurs between 3 and 7. The age that you usually gain awareness what's going on around you. What age can you say happened to you? I say mine was 4. I've told this story before. My awareness probably kicked in by 1. My earliest memory, my mother had a 1957, 56 Bel Air. It's two-tone. I had a picture years ago of it. But I was young enough. My mother pulled in, and I remember her stopping. She pulled the back seat open. There was no child seat back then. Back then, you would just put the baby on a blanket, and my mother picked me up in the blanket. And so I would dare say I had to be around 1. Had to be around 1 when I became aware. Probably around the same time period, I remember my mother dressing me, and she let me go out and play. She was like, don't get dirty. And I walked up to the dog, and the dog knocked me down. I had to be 2 at the oldest. The dog knocked me down. They heard me scream bloody murder, and they ran out there. And this is how my family is. My mother had got bit by a dog that my great grandfather had. My great grandfather took the dog and slammed the dog against a tree till he killed it for biting my mother. It bit my mother in the face. And so, as much as they loved that dog, my grandfather, when they came home and told my grandfather like what happened, it's like the dog got knocked down. The baby, I never saw that dog again. My grandfather took that dog in the woods and killed it. It's like we can't have these animals jumping on the children. That's just the way the family was. And so I say, that was my first memory. I remember my 3rd birthday. Because my cousin came in, my aunt came in later, I'm in the crib. I was in the crib, probably my mother just get your ass in the crib so you ain't running around. And I remember my cousin coming in, and my aunt had bought me this plastic airplane where you slid in the wings. And I remember my cousin looking for me, and my Toby was my nickname since I started walking. And I remember him saying, "Where's Toby?" And that was my 3rd birthday. So, and I can remember my 4th birthday and my 5th. 7 through 10 is kind of, but I remember those birthdays. And so, yeah, awareness for me kicked in really early. I mean, I remember being in the crib. I remember being held. I remember sleeping with my parents, and my parents weren't together very long after, they got married and everything, but they divorced when I was probably 2. They starting to come out. But I'm old enough to remember when my parents was together. So, yeah, for me, that's when it kicked in. Hey, Mo Ray, what's happening? Because some people are exception. They can remember at an earlier age. Yeah, I remember quite an earlier age. I remember I was probably 1 or less. And I just remember the car. But that's my earliest memory for sure. So, her picking me up in the car and then getting knocked down by the dog. Those are my earliest memories. I remember being little enough to like sit and ride with somebody, and I stuck my foot in the spoke. I remember being in my aunt's small enough to sit in my aunt's sink. I was that small because my aunt put my leg in some water because I was too little to really understand how to ride a bike, to keep my legs out. I was just too little. And that's, I'm talking about the 60s, early 60s. Oh, they must have one more. Well, it's not quite 3 o'clock yet. So those are a few things most important in life: awareness and happiness. I would say more joy than happiness, because if you take happiness, you got to take sadness. Remember that. You got to take the opposite. So I would say joy, because you don't want, and pain ain't the opposite of joy or even bliss, but yeah, awareness, some type of joy, some type of bliss. They try to put love and hate, joy and pain. None of that shit goes together. That shit don't go together. There's no opposite. Love is supreme. Bliss, joy, pain don't go with joy. They try to make shit up. Mom had to tell that a motorcycle always killed me at 1. I have no memory of that and wouldn't know nothing about it, I was told. That a motorcycle almost, I think he's supposed to put. Oh, wow. I remember the first time I saw someone dead was like 69. Whoops. Why am I rolling my window down? But dude that was watching me, I was going to their house as walking to school and walking home because my folks worked, and it was a dude. He took me to the funeral parlor and we saw this young guy. God was young. dead and was young dead. And this guy died, shit, that's 50 some years ago now. Don't remember how he died, but he was a young dude. That was the first time I saw somebody dead. I was telling my brother, we saw somebody, one of the relatives, this would have been my uncle's wife's family, but one of their relatives died and the body was still in the house. You didn't go view the body at the place. You viewed the body where she slept. Like this is them. No. This is not them. They've done it to me again. Or they're just running late. But most of the time they don't tell them. So I'm not sure why the girls are not out. Hi, why isn't Natalie and Piper?
Natalie and Piper?
Yeah.
What's the last name?
Macon. Piper Brown. Natalie Macon.
Okay.
Yeah. For some reason. One more question. Could you say you were born and raised in the 60s or in the 70s? I grew up in the 70s. Even though, like, you figure 69, I was 9, 10. I do remember, here they are. I do remember that, but if you say when I grew up really was the 70s. I really grew up in the 70s. Took you bum so long. Sitting out here forever.
Piper!
Well, till we meet again.